the honor of serving as your city administrator. Really want to thank all of you, each of you, for joining us for this really momentous occasion. It really is happening. We are building a new community pool. Bringing this project to reality has required hundreds of committed individuals over many years, actually decades, of dogged perseverance to realize this vision, not only to meet the aquatic needs of our community, but even more importantly, to provide a safe, healthy, beautiful gathering space where all members of the community will gather for decades to come. If we think about this project as a relay race, a really long one, today we pass the baton to our construction team from Wickman Development and Construction for the final leg of a very long journey. I've been fortunate to work on this project for the last 8 years, which is not insignificant, but pales in comparison to the decades of effort to advance a new pool by people like Josh Bernstein and Bill Drum and John Sakel and many others, who passed the baton to the city and PRD, who passed it to the Aquatics Subcommittee of 2016, who passed it to city staff and city council, who passed it to the Measure UU campaign committee, who passed it to the voters, who passed it, and then passed it to the ELS Architecture and Griffin Structures, who brought us to this moment and this milestone. And so before we put shovels in the dirt, it is really important and appropriate that we pause and reflect on the significance of this community achievement. And to start us off this morning, please welcome Mayor Teddy Gray King.
Wow. How glorious it is to see everyone here on this chilly, but bright and sunny and happy December morning. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out. Staff, once again, you make miracles happen by pulling us all together in such short notice. So Sara, Daniel, Shelley, all the line staff at the Rec and DPW, you guys are awesome. And to my fellow council members, we have been at this project for so long, I seriously don't remember not working on the pool. And our citizen aquatics heroes, Steve Rowland and the entire pool advisory committee. If there was a PhD program on public pool development, you'd all have your degrees by now. And to all the folks through the years that Sara just referenced, who've been committed to building a better, more sustainable Piedmont pool. Former Mayor Bob McBain, who believed in this project and supported Measure UU in the depths of a worldwide pandemic. Former Councilmember Tim Rood, who was working on this for years, trying to make a plan actionable and bring it to the voters. Amy Albrecht and Ann Callahan, and the most amazing civic organizations the world has ever seen, the PRFO, Steve Collins, Eric Havian, the Piedmont Beautification Foundation, the Piedmont Swim Team, the Piedmont Water Polo Community, the lap swimmers, and so many others. What does this pool mean? What has it always meant? What will it mean again? It means friendships, it's people's health, it's quality of life for senior citizens, it's a chance to play a sport and thrive for kids, it's a place to carve out a little bit of joy in our overcrowded and stressful schedules. That's what this community pool means. The most passionate supporter of public pools and really all public amenities, was my mom, the late Teddy Vasquez Gray. For her, having a close, affordable public pool was the closest thing she had to a vacation growing up in an immigrant family in San Francisco's Mission District. You see, her family, like so many families, didn't belong to a club or take trips to Tahoe, but she had an outdoor, beautiful pool in the heart of her neighborhood, and for a nickel, she could spend a few hours splashing around in the sunshine. And I guarantee you that these happy memories lasted her lifetime. So right here, we can do this for the next generation, and we're doing it. This pool, and I know it, this pool will change people's lives. And all of us here, everyone who supported Measure UU, this is your legacy. And I'm so deeply appreciative. So with a heartfelt thanks to our rock star city manager for pulling this together. I'll be in office through Monday, and this is one of the happiest days of my tenure. I want to say thank you, and I'm so excited for what the future holds right here in our backyard.
Thank you, Mayor King. Next up, we are going to have our resident lead architect, Clarence Mamuyac of the ELS team. Clarence is the president and CEO of ELS Architecture and Urban Design. He is a Piedmont resident. He is one of those people who has been envisioning, trying to move towards this reality for, I think, more than a decade, maybe even close to 2. So what an kind of remarkable that it all came together. That Clarence is the architect on this project. We had several very, very qualified and impressive firms respond to propose on this project. ELS blew them out of the water. It was no contest that ELS was the firm to take this on, and how fortunate we are to have one of our own residents leading this project, Clarence Mamuyac.
Okay, I should just sit down right now. That was plenty. Let's see here. I'm going to give a little chronology, kind of my version. I thought Sara did a far more detailed version earlier. But in the early 90s, I met with Josh Bernstein, Les Hefferkim, and the three of us got together and we thought we should go knock on the door of a very young city council candidate by the name of Abe Friedman. And Abe was running, and we brought in a little model and some ideas and lots of lofty goals and how we could get the money, and none of it kind of happened. But Abe sat there and listened to us and got us, showed a lot of interest, and he clearly saw the idea as having some spirit. So that was a positive. We had a pause. Abe becomes mayor, and he makes the Aquatics Center a key component of his downtown core plan and vision. And that's when this thing really started to get some legs. And so for Abe, I don't know if you're in the audience, Abe, but thank you very much. So following that, we had another pause. We finished the master plan, but we had a pause. And it was about 10 years later, this time Abe Friedman, Andy Ball, Betsy Anderson, Al Gore, and myself are having lunch at Momo's. And we're talking about this thing. And Betsy declares she's going to get this thing done. It's like, and I was so excited to shed this off, and Betsy was going to take it over. But Betsy did a terrific, terrific job. So thank you. Oh, I should mention Al Gore. So Al Gore, Vice President Gore, he happened to be having lunch at the same time. He was at another table, but it sounds so much better. So then, boy, Betsy kicked in the high gear, and I want to say with help for council colleagues and Mayor McBain, and we got this master plan idea kind of done. And then from there, we get into this pandemic, and Mayor McBain and the rest of the council, they decide to go up for this bond, right in the middle of a pandemic. Totally brilliant, and it passes. So that's why we're here today, and that's such great news. And now, under the leadership of Mayor Teddy King and Vice Mayor Jane Kavanaugh and Council Members McCarthy, Long, and Anderson, we're here today, and ELS is so proud to be a part of it. My entire team is here. Make some noise. Yay! Thank you for coming. We even have a fast swimmer, this Dana Bulmer girl over here. A 3-time Olympian, 5-time gold medalist. All right, so I'm going to hand it back to Sara. Thank you very much.
Yay!
Yes, thank you, Clarence, and really it is an exceptional team working on this project with us. But next up, we're going to talk about really what it took to move to this point to implement Clarence's wonderful design, and would not have happened without the Piedmont Recreational Facilities Organization, PRFO, who stepped up in August when things were pretty uncertain. We were facing some really, really stiff construction inflation headwinds. We were really having to think about having to really change the design of this facility. Having already had to do that in the early spring to make the building smaller, we were now at a place of, wow, we need to make these pools smaller. And we really didn't want to do that, because really the design of this facility, a lot of thought, a lot of community engagement went into designing the pool that we really believe will serve Piedmont's aquatic needs and community needs. And there was really nothing left, there was nothing we wanted to take away, because it really was going to impact the facility that's going to be our facility for at least 50 years. So, PRFO in August, without hesitation, said, yeah, we'll take it on. And really, quite honestly, I have to say, I think they saved this project. We could not have moved forward as designed without PRFO making a bold commitment to doing all they could to close a $2 million anticipated funding gap. We're not quite there yet, but their progress is remarkable and amazing, and you'll hear a little bit about that. So please welcome PRFO President Steve Collins.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here today. This is a pretty incredible turnout for an incredible project. I just want to start off by saying this never, ever, ever would have happened without the commitment of the city and the city council and everyone involved in this. Clarence, I think he's been doing this since he was an intern at Cal in the 80s. But seriously, yeah, everybody involved, it's impossible to overstate the amount of work that has been done by this group over the last several decades. So I am the president of PRFO, and for those of you not familiar with PRFO, and hopefully it's a lot fewer than it was 6 months ago, PRFO is a public-private partnership with the City of Piedmont who advocates and fundraises for recreational projects in town. To date, we have done the Hampton Field renovation, where the community contributed over $800,000 in supplemental funds from the City of Piedmont, and I hope you've all had a chance to look at that. And our second successful project, located right over here, is a renovation and reimagining of the Vista tennis courts to a much better name, to a very inspirational tennis figure in town, Corey Reach. Every time I say that, I kind of shiver because it's such an emotional project for everybody here. Anyway, the projects that we have done in town are changing the shape of Piedmont. And it can't be done without all of the generous people in Piedmont who have contributed to its success. Great news is that the speakers so far have said almost everything I was going to say. As they were speaking, I was like, don't say that, cross. So, I'm not going to say as they said. So, as Sara said, this really is a generational facility. This is a project that hasn't even been considered for over half a century. It's probably not going to be considered for another half a century. This is a really momentous moment in Piedmont. As Sara mentioned, it has been through multiple iterations, and the ones that are included right now, which is with the $2.1 million of privately raised funds, which is going to happen, what's it going to do for Piedmont? What's it going to do for the Piedmont Pool, the sports programs, the youth, the community members who are going to enjoy it, the gathering centers, the clubs, the families? What is it going to do? Well, as far as it relates to the pool, I'm going to read this very carefully, these are items that are being put into the pool complex now, which if these funds weren't being raised, would never be put in. You can't change the size of the pool. So what is being added into the competition pool? The funds are going to be supporting regulation length and depth for water polo play and games. A diving well with 2 diving boards. A scoreboard and timing system. Very energy efficient sports lighting. Starting blocks and the toe ledges, which are essential for swimmer safety. And in the recreation pool, the additional funding will include 3 additional standard length lap lanes, an expansive shallow area for play and swim lessons, as well as the all-important poolside room for parties, gatherings, and warmth. So here we are now. To this point, given incredibly challenging circumstances, the community has already raised $1.1 million for this project out of 2.1. So it's an incredible effort by the community. However, over the coming months, we are going to need to bring in an additional $1 million to finish and complete all of the items that I just mentioned. The City of Piedmont, to this point, has done an incredible job bringing us to where we are now. They've been documented, everything that we've been through over the past couple of years. The people we have to thank, aside from the people who have been mentioned already, is the PRFO and Community Pool fundraising campaign, who have been phenomenal. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of emails and calls and offline conversations we've had over the past 4 months. But the effort is incredible. Also want to thank the over 120 generous donors in Piedmont who have already committed to raise the $1.1 million. But it takes a village has never been more apropos than it is right now. This is going to take an enormous effort to raise the additional $1 million. Everyone here has a strong feeling and passion for this pool. We appreciate that, we respect that, and we want that to carry with you over the next several months as we move through this final phase. As I mentioned, this is a one-time gift that is going to be an essential component of Piedmont for decades and decades and generations to come. People who have mentioned to me that this pool when they moved here 30 years ago with small families, this was their social life. This was their community. They've since moved on. Their children and grandchildren are coming here. Eric Havian, who's a key part of this, took on this role because he has grandkids now in town. So as we move forward, I look forward to meeting and talking to anybody who has an interest in this, anything we can do as PRFO and as a community and as a committee up here and group up here who's very knowledgeable and very involved in the project. Please approach us, ask us, and we'll answer any questions you have. So now, as we mentioned earlier, this is a community project. And we have two people here to speak to why their organizations, which are not directly affiliated with the pool, felt this was so important to their communities and their constituencies that they went out on a limb and made presentations and committed to providing funds from their organizations for the success of this pool. And they're going to be Kate Benson, who is the Scout Executive for BSA, Scouts of America. And Karen Sullivan, who is the President of Piedmont Beautification Foundation. So at this point, Kate Benson, Executive Director of Boy Scouts of America.
Good morning, everybody. Over the past few years, we've all keenly felt the missing piece of not having a community pool. Like so many other programs, we've missed it in scouting as well. Swimming is an important part of our program, both as a life skill and as a critical safety measure. We recognize it's important by including it in the Trail to First Class in our Scouts BSA program. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, Scouts BSA is the program of the BSA that serves youth, boys and girls, all of our kids, ages 11 to 18. And for those of you who aren't familiar with rank advancement at Scouts BSA, Scouts work through a series of foundational steps that cover the tenderfoot second class and first class ranks. They work on tasks related to fitness, service, and skills they'll use on outings, like planning the outing, cooking their food. Really, they cook their own food. And all those things, and setting up their equipment. So swimming is included. Scouts must pass a basic swim test, and they must demonstrate a simple rescue by swimming a rope out to somebody. These aren't skills that can be learned in an afternoon, and they certainly can't be learned in a church basement or an auditorium. Comfort and competence in the water must be developed over time, both through play with friends and focused skill building. For every outing to a high adventure base, Scouts have to pass a swim test before traveling there. For every troop activity on the water, and there are many, volunteer leaders need to know the proficiency of each participant. Troop swim tests are a vital part of safety when kayaking, when whitewater rafting, canoeing, or even hiking to a mountain lake with a good fishing boat. All right, our youth need access to a great pool both in and out of our program. In some ways, the Scouts represent the folks who can't swim yet, who don't know the water yet, but who will develop that. If nothing else, we're representing all of the kids who need to know this basic life skill so that all of the opportunities it opens up for them are available. Our Scout Council is really proud to be a part of the Piedmont community and excited for the years ahead with this great facility. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Karen Sullivan, and I'm the president of Piedmont Beautification, and we're excited and delighted to be part of this event. For 58 years, PDF has been supporting the city of Piedmont on key projects for a safe, sustainable, and beautiful community. And thanks to everyone involved here today, this project checks all those boxes. It will be much more than just the amazing aquatic facility that our community needs and deserves. It will be a beautiful gathering spot in the center of town for all ages. And I can't wait to see all the celebrations and future programming that this one facility can support. That's why when PRFO started fundraising this fall, our board stepped in early to show our support with an initial donation in hopes that other groups would too. And we plan to fund additional elements as they become more defined. So I hope more of you will join us and give this wonderful gift to our community for the future generations. Thank you.
Okay, we're almost ready for the hard hats and shovels, the main event. But before we do that, and I'm kind of putting someone on the spot here, and he can decline if he wants to. But I would like to give the opportunity to really our lead donor, who really jumped out in front of everyone to make a big commitment to really make sure this was going to happen. And if he would like to, I'd like to invite Reid Settlemier to make a couple remarks.
Thank you, Sarah. I did not know I was going to be called to speak, so I'll tell one quick story. 2014, my friend Betsy Smagel, Elizabeth Anderson, as a lot of you know her, called up and said, Reid, we need help with the pool. We're working, so come down and take a look. I said, this is great, let's work on it. Put some pricing together. And I'm happy to say that just 10 short years later, we're going to have a new pool. Just took us 10 years. So Betsy, hats off all the city council, Olympic athletes, Steve and Eric at PRFO, and of course, Clarence, the architect, has been here. All I'd like to say is that this is a really beautiful project. It's in the center of town. It's going to make a really unified sports complex with Corey's Tennis Center, with the community center that we're going to have, the new locker rooms, and the 2 pools that we're going to have. It's really a spectacular project. I'm so happy that everyone's supporting it. But my call to you is there's a lot of very successful, sophisticated people here, people of means, and I think it's really important. I'm glad we're all donating. I think it's up to us to go out, talk to our friends, and really push hard. Let's raise that next $1 million. We've raised over $1 million. We've got another $1 million to go. This group right here can be the catalyst for bridging that gap, and we'll have a spectacular complex that's going to last generations. And this is a legacy project for all of us, and we can all be proud that we're involved in it. So thank you guys. Hats off to everybody. I'm so excited. It's going to happen.
All right, so now we do get to the hard hats and shovels. And I have to say, you know, we've never done this, because we haven't built anything for a really, really long time on the city side. School district has had a lot of great projects right across the street very recently, but the city hasn't done an infrastructure project other than renovations. Really, anyone that's working in City Hall right now or on the current council. So we actually had to watch some YouTube videos to learn about how you do a groundbreaking ceremony. So be patient with us as we work our way through this. I do want to introduce the 2 gentlemen who you've been looking at standing here behind us. These are the folks we're actually passing that baton to. So we have Jonathan Wickman from Wickman Development and Construction. Again, I've never done one of these, but I'm not so sure that you often get the president of the company really hands-on on the project, and I think Jonathan's going to be with us front and center throughout, which is great. And then we have George Sannon from Griffin Structures. George has been behind the scenes, but so instrumental, really it was the first big hire. We hired George as our project manager and owner's representative. Very early in the process, it became clear to me right away that was the key hire. And Griffin and George in particular have been outstanding stewards and representatives. That's a big deal, to be the owner's representative. So he is representing the city, he's representing all of you every step along the way, and we're really fortunate to have George. And so George and Jonathan are going to help us again, since I don't know what we're doing with the shovels here. But we're going to do a couple different rounds here, so I'm asking you to be patient before we cut you all loose to go in the old pool and meet Dana Vollmer and other things. But just bear with us a few more minutes. And so for our first, we're going to do a couple rounds, but for our first ceremonial event here, I would ask that our city council, Clarence Mamuyac, Steve Collins, Amy and Reid Settlemier, if you guys could grab the white hard hats behind the council here and make your way over to Jonathan and George, that would be great.
Get ready. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll do that.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to count down for you.
Okay.
On the count of, we'll go backwards, we'll get on to 1. 3, 2, 1, go! All right, actually I'm going to keep you guys there. And I just want to make sure that our other lead donors, so Sue and Tom Smegel are in that group, who I don't think are here, but I want to make sure would be Abe and Jen Friedman and Robin and Dave Sweet. If the Friedmans and the Sweets are here, we'll see them. But let's do a round of applause. Again, just instrumental in getting us halfway to our goal and getting us there. So let's do another, we'll do a 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, go! All right, I'm going to ask the city council members to stay. And I think our Measure UU campaign chairs are here. Do we have Vince Saunders, Amy Albrecht, and Ann Callahan? And I mean, you all know, passing a 2/3 bond measure during a pandemic for a pool is crazy. Crazy. And these three led that effort. Hey, Bob. So. Hearing Bob. 2, 1, go. All right, and now what I think I'd like to see is the ELS team. So 3, 2, 1, go! All right, ELS, thank you.
Yeah, that's what I said. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so the last thing I want to do, and before we do it, I'm going to tell you what's after that, because it's going to get a little chaotic, I think, when I invite all the young people up here. So this almost concludes sort of the formalities today, but please feel free to stay around, check out the great vision boards, feel free to talk to any of us that you saw up here today about the project. I could talk about it all day, all weekend, all week. Love talking about this project. We are a unique opportunity today. We are going to open the pool.
Was in 2012 in London. I missed the 2008 Olympics. I had to keep swimming after I missed the team. And then this is from Rio in 2016.